Hello everyone, it's Eldorinth here, and for today's video on Umamusume, as we have had a little bit over a week now with access to the new independent training, I thought it'd be a great time to kind of revisit it and talk about things that people have found as they have been doing a lot of research on what works in terms of building the strongest parents and grandparents. And one of the resources that's been extremely useful in kind of figuring out what support cards that you currently have are going to work really well is this Google Sheets here that was created by the Lupicord Discord, which I do have a link to the Discord here in the spreadsheet. I'll put a link to this spreadsheet in the description of this video if you want to go and take a look at it. Very, very useful in helping you kind of figure out what support cards are going to be the best ones to use to try and get that consistent SS that's needed to get the quality white sparks. And it's also especially true when it comes to trying to get specific skills and their sparks while still maintaining that SS. And so I've seen this thing kind of evolve over time over the last week, and they're really now starting to kind of put together kind of ratings, or as you can see, your scores on which cards are the best. And this can kind of give you the best idea, just as a generic way. If you just kind of want to look at it at a quick glance, the score is going to tell you if it's an outright good card or not in terms of being used, at least for trying to get SS. So right off the bat, when you take a look at it and get on here, you have the score that kind of talks about all the stats you can expect to get on average from the card, the skill points. And one of the things we found out very quickly early on was that the PAL cards and of course group cards like Throne are doing a lot of crazy work at MLB. As you can see, this one right now kind of talking about them from the MLB perspective. The only one right here that doesn't have it as MLB is Light Hello, because right now, since we just had the polls on it, I think a lot of people have kind of different variations of how many dupes they have of Light Hello. But as you can see here, she does fairly well, but more dupes makes her even better when it comes to kind of comparing her to the other ones over here. But PAL cards just are like right now the best at getting skill points overall. As you can see, Throne being revived as pretty much, in my opinion, one of the strongest borrows currently for it, because not only does it give you a lot of skill points, it also gives you a lot of stats overall. Probably the best in trying to get yourself an SS. But then another one that is showing a lot of progress on here, and you'll see it rated fairly highly if I can actually find it. It's kind of mixed here. We're in the speed cards. And as you start going down here, you will see they do include third limit breaks on some of them. Even some of them at one limit break, like Summer Maruzensky, where a lot of people, that was their stopping point. And how much value does she bring as Agnes Tack in here? I can't see it right off the. Here it is. So you have the Fuku card that a lot of people pulled for that I was like is going to die. To me, as soon as Grand Live starts, because she loses a lot of her value compared to other speed cards. But in this independent training, if you're somebody who pulled on Fuku, she is showing to be one of the best in terms of being able to try and get you consistent SSs because of how much stat output she gives you. And she doesn't give you crazy amounts of SP, but it's still a reasonable amount compared to like all the others. Making her, they have a very high score on her. I think they even put her above Throne. Her biggest downside, and it really doesn't take too much into consideration here, is skill output. Throne, at least one of the big ones that you can get off of her by using her, is prudent positioning, very important for your front runners to pair with dodging danger, while the Fuku card not giving it too much. But then you can see other cards here like Smart Falcon, one of your cards that you can utilize for getting groundwork fairly easily, and where it rates what you can expect here. And this breaks these down pretty well just on that generic basis. But as you kind of go farther into this document, they are giving specific data on, this isn't all fully complete here. So know that this is constantly still being improved on, but a lot of it's starting to get kind of solidified as they've done enough runs on to kind of figure out the consistency of. But you have it for like Grand Live. They have one here, I think, where they're working on for Track Blazer, although really no data on this one yet. Probably because if you've probably been doing any runs, if you did any in Track Blazer, very significantly reduced. Like it's like I don't see getting SS in it very easily. So nobody's really running it, so that's probably why they don't really have it finished out here yet. So that's very useful. But another one that I've seen here that's actually quite nice is this one where it's kind of showcasing the skill chains finishing, because that's one of the problems we do see with this mode. as it's even harder for your support cards to finish their change, at least from experience, than just doing it manual. It's already a problem when you do the runs manually, but this, it seems to be even less of a chance for it to finish. But it does kind of give you a breakdown on some of these here. I don't know if they're going to continue to keep adding them, adding different cards onto here, but it can kind of give you an idea of like what chain you're at and the chances of actually finishing it. One of the things we found out immediately is that the PAL cards all cheat their dates to finish. You're always getting the PAL card ones. And so as we get future PAL cards, with things that you might want to try and get on your parents, like we even another one coming out that's not which is a group card, the Goddess card, which is the Grand Masters link card, kind of like that's similar to Throne, will actually be pretty much in the same right, having skills like Umastand built in, that you're pretty much going to guarantee making her just another very strong card compared to Throne in this, which actually, to me, raised the value overall. But then you can kind of see on some of these other ones, they actually talk about not only finishing chains, but getting the first chain complete. There's a lot of cards that have something you can get right off the bat on the first chain. You have something like Smart Falcon, that get a Smart Falcon power that gives you groundwork. You have like King Halo power that gives Umastan. As you can see, I don't know how many different ones they've tested, but you have like the first chain on Kurinchan giving Shrewd Step, 74% chance. You have King the Umastan off King Halo, looks to be about a 70 or 69%. So right around that 70% chance to finish just the first chain. But when it comes to third chains, that's going all the way down to like around 11. Second chain, 36% chance. And so just know you can't heavily count on it. But there are some cards that'll come out in the future, especially if you're more of a spender and willing to pull on cards specifically for things you can get off of them in their chains. This is kind of what you can kind of expect out of them. So the first one, you can pretty much expect it fairly regularly. The second one, often enough that it's worth it. But then ultimately, the gold will take you're not going to get it very often, but it is there. And plus, you also generally with the gold, you have the white version of it in the card as well. So overall, this is probably the biggest negative, and the one advantage that I could see the other auto mode that we'll get in the future. Who knows when we'll get it, if they'll give it to us early, or maybe they don't give it to us early, for the simple fact that it only applies to certain scenarios, but the one that actually plays the runs. And realistically, I don't even care about that mode because I'm finding this one better than that. But this may be one area where that auto that plays the actual scenario could be better, specifically for it finishing chains. Although it has always been a problem, the finish chains, so who knows on that. But then they also have some other ones here testing the different scenarios based on how many races you're doing. Me personally, I'm pretty much always doing the dirt rotation on my Umas, even when I'm building parents, where maybe I don't have the full dirt rotation set up, where I have all the dirt sparks and maybe mile sparks and whatever the parent needs to make them have very high, like dirt or whatnot. I still have them running it. One example being my Agnes Tachyon parent that I built for my Christmas Ugly Cap to get her inherit. She was, I believe, G in dirt because I just didn't have grandparents with dirt that were good enough for building her. I still had her do all the dirt races, even with G in dirt, and I think she was like C in mile, and she still won like 90% of the races. She lost primarily the dirt miles, although she did win one of them because it's still like a 30% chance she had to win it. So to me, pretty much should always be doing that. But overall, you can have the different breakdowns of the different setups here. They have like 23 G3 or G1s. I don't know if they want to do less than that. This might be kind of taken into consideration more of a non-dirt rotation, doing basically everything besides dirt D1s. But overall, some good data coming in there as well. Another breakdown of different schedules on here. But yeah, overall, as you can see here, we're finally starting to get it in on what works and what doesn't. And this is even even like newer players or free to play players are starting to really have some options. I mean, you have the Hadu Urada Guts card doing a lot of work. If you just want that generic stat stick card to help get you the SS, Hadu Urada Guts, which everybody can get MLB for free once you've played enough to kind of get the currency to buy it out. Very good one right there. There's even some other ones that are fairly decent. A lot of the guts cards overall have been pretty decent since it affects 3 stats. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Independent training is definitely, we're starting to see some improvement of the quality of parents and grandparents, although it definitely is still a long, tedious process to get those perfect hits. So even if you're not getting anything, don't worry about it. It is just kind of a law of large numbers. Eventually, you'll start to get hits, and then they'll start to snowball over time as new skills and new things get added in, and as your parents get better and better. Um, it is tedious. I mean, that's the point of having this independent training in the first place, is to make it less tedious in the fact that you can just have the game do all that work for you when you're not actively playing the game. But that's pretty much it. I thought I'd just showcase this spreadsheet for those that are wanting some ideas, especially if you're struggling to get SS with your UMAs, and how you can potentially do that to improve the quality of your parents. But if you like my content, if you could like, comment, subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.